Okay, so this should work. Okay. Yay! I think we're live.
Okay.
Yeah, we're live.
Hello world.
Hello world!
Okay, so we are going to be... Okay, so the idea is... I have no idea how to do introductions, so... What this is basically just... yeah, I have no idea how to do introductions. So we are
This
now...
is the session 0 of the Squire Squad.
Squire Squad, yeah.
Happening in the Zygma World, created by Oscar. And
That's
it's
me.
Mutants Masterminds 3rd edition RPG. Oscar will be the DM, Roger and I will 2 of the 4 players. And the session 0 is about world building and rules questions and such, I think.
Yeah, pretty much. We're just doing discussing the setting, world building, and if you have any questions regarding that. I had some points that I wanted to discuss. Okay, so the Zygma World is basically named Zygma World because of Frederick Zygma, who had this theory of that the cause and effect is essentially connected with by waves of something, and the idea is that the idea is that if the theory is correct that the cause and effect has waves connecting them, then perhaps that these waves can be collected or measured or perhaps controlled. This is sometime before last millennium, so it was 1890, something close to that. Obviously, people didn't really believe in this theory, so he decided to make an experiment to create an experiment that allowed him to measure these waves, but it kind of backfired and blew up, and he was never found again. So there's a theory that this is not really well known. There's a theory that is somewhere on the line that Frederick Zygma didn't actually measure any Sigma waves, but actually created them. So that everything, all superhuman characters are basically the result of that experiment that backfired. On the other hand, there are people who propose the so-called Sigma paradox. That's that if Frederick Zygma created these waves, why are there historical references to superhuman people before them? And so on and so forth. Basically, there are maybe a dozen or two people who actually study Sigma waves specifically, and it's mostly just pseudoscience, and people believe it is just crazy talk.
So, is it a world with only one single power source, the Sigma waves, or do we have several power sources like super science, Sigma world, aliens, mutations?
Basically, because of Sigma waves, anything is basically possible. So, but kind of meta idea with it is to explain why stuff works with by breaking what we understand is the laws of physics.
Yeah.
For example, a guy is in an airplane and is hit by a thunderstorm, and in the thunderstorm his plane is hit by lightning and he gains lightning powers or something. It doesn't make sense in the real world, but because of the Sigma waves, it is possible.
So practically they don't actually know what's happening, but it's a convenient explanation, the Zygma waves.
Yeah.
So in our world, is magic a possibility as well?
Yeah, magic is possible as well. People don't understand it. There are theories that among those studying Sigma waves, that magic is basically manipulating Sigma waves. But
it also is science. It also is science.
There's science in the world as well.
Yeah, there's also science and super science, and probably dinosaurs.
Science.
So in the environment that we're playing, is there going to be a lot of superheroes, or are there going to be very few at that point in time?
There are a great number of people with superhuman abilities, but not many of them are actually using them.
Right.
Historically speaking, in the setting, quite recently, actually, just in the late 90s, a superhero team tried to take over the city in an attempt to keep order to the city. Mm-hmm. And after they kind of botched that, superhuman abilities became kind of not exactly illegal, but you had to they were mistrusted, and were kept responsible for their misuse.
So is a registration act or something like that?
There's a you're not required to register your abilities or yourself or anything like that yet. There are still every presidency has this idea comes up every presidency, so approximately every 4 years or so, that superhuman people should be required to register and be kept under constant surveillance.
So it's in the talks practically.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to presume that those voices want to have everyone with superpowers and governmental service to like Black Ops missions and military.
Yeah.
This sounds to me a little bit like The Watchmen and a little bit like the end of Civil War.
Yeah. Practically. That was what I think.
Not a Civil War against Captain America and Iron Man.
Mm-hmm. It was something like that one, yes. But in the comics, it was a thing about Registration Act. Okay, well.
Okay, you mentioned the city. Maybe you should introduce a bit of New Camelot.
Yeah, our game takes place mostly in the city called New Camelot City, and that is actually where this superhuman team tried to take over the city. That's the city where they tried to take over. Just seeing that, I think we could have Terry on live chat, who if it's the Terry that I think it is, it's the Terry that we're playing with. The city is heavily inspired by Arthurian legends, the stories of King Arthur and the Round Table. So there are direct and indirect references to that. For example, the Avalon Park, where you have a sword in a stone, which some people think is the sword in the stone. Avalon Park pretty much just appeared after an event. Not many people know what actually happened. There was an explosion that pretty much destroyed everything where the park is now. And it is Terry who we're playing with, who is in the live chat. So that's fun. Yeah. Before the event, the city was actually called Kingdom City. It had high corruption, high crime rate, and just things were going bad. So after the event, there were some superhero individuals who joined together and to form the Knights of Justice. And that's when the city decided to rename itself to New Camelot City in an attempt to reconstruct the image of the city. That's pretty much the history.
Oscar, is this your own world, or is this something that you pulled off Green Rotten?
This is my own world.
Okay.
I know there is, but the organizations like we, also, or eight, how you want to call them, and the Sisters of Mercy, maybe a bit of introduction to them, because I think they are very important to the world, especially we.
Yeah, the Vigil and International Intelligence, or V, or more frequently just called Seven. It's an kind of a international mercenary group that specializes in anti-superhuman countermeasures. So they have their own group of superhuman individuals who operate on behalf of the organization, and if necessary, they have other measures as well. And they do both countermeasures directly and intelligence gathering. The Sisterhood of Iron is a less known organization of assassins and mystics. So it's not well known, and you may have heard some stories about it, but I'm not going to go into much detail right now.
Yeah, you should keep your secret. I just read a bit up about Zygma World on your website. And do you plan or have any ideas of? I mean, Seven is practically independent shield, but do you have anything like Hydra or the Hand?
Not yet, anyway. Maybe later.
What's recording?
No, so the idea with the setting is that I'm not going to plan too much around it. So there will be other organizations as necessary, but you're free to add to it as you like. I think is important. So you can add in new characters or organization that fit your backstory or something. Like Andreas, I think, did already about with U.S. military.
Yeah, I'm practically playing a character. It's heavily inspired by Weapon X. Let's face it. And so some governmental black ops experiments to create soldiers with superpowers, extremely loyal, extremely and how those things gone. They gone wrong and the experiments fled.
Yeah.
So, but I think in general, for every homebrew campaign setting, is that you only have the basics ready, and then you build around the story you want to tell and the characters you have.
Yeah, and I want the players to have the opportunity to build around in the setting as well. There are 2 other cities that I have fairly prepared, but yeah, it's fairly prepared. It's Corwin City and Nova City. Corwin City is pretty much just the dark kind of city, supernatural stuff, based on horror and such, while Nova City is more futuristic and more sort of shining metropolis kind of thing.
Are you off record?
No.
And so Camelot City is practically the main city of the superheroes, and then Gotham City will practically more for Iron Age heroes, vigilantes, and characters like Blade or Ghost Rider, while Nova City is the shining city of the future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, when we're starting, our characters don't know one another. I understand correctly.
Sorry?
I said when we start, we don't know each other?
Well, you may have heard of each other, but no, you don't actually know each other unless you want to.
Okay. For the background of Mr. Nobody, it doesn't make sense for him to know anyone. He's pretty well operating independently.
Yeah.
I think for Fate, she might have heard a bit about the whole heroes thing and such because of her background, but like I've written there, she will be very unsure of the whole thing because of her own security. Like Oscar said in the beginning, people with superpowers are viewed suspiciously. They are responsible for their actions, for the possible destructions, and practically illegal to use their powers. So I think that will be a big part of the games too, that suddenly some people will be superheroes again.
Yeah, and well, part of the story that I have in mind is that you are rebuilding the trust in superheroes. By saving the day repeatedly.
So, roughly speaking, but because in stories like the Wildcat series, there's a specific amount of people who have superheroes. There's 9 out of 9. So this 1%. Do you have any thoughts about how many people got superheroes in Zygma World percentile speaking, or is it just a big unknown?
It's big unknown, especially lately, since those with superhuman abilities are more likely to stay hidden.
Hello, all.
Hello.
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 I'm Terry.
Hello, Terry.
Hello, Terry. Nice
So
to
we
meet you.
lost our one watcher, and now we have an game.
Hey.
How's everyone?
Good.
Good.
Pretty good.
Good to hear.
So, which story comic age you would say takes this age genre do we have in our game? Like, there's a Silver Age, Iron Age, Modern Age,
Yeah.
Postmodern Age, practically.
I'm not really sure. Not gold and silver, I think.
Yeah.
I
I
think
think
closer to modern age.
I think I get a bit of an Iron Age feeling too, practically because we are first rusted vigilantes before we get real super heroes loved by people and similar.
Yeah.
Based on the restriction and fear of superpowers, I would say Iron Age and a mix of Modern Age kind of fit.
Yeah, it's somewhere between Iron Age and Modern Age, I think, because I'm
Practically
still.
a bit of the first half of.
You go first.
Okay. It sounds a bit then like the first half of the 90s, when suddenly, like, characters like Cable or Deadpool stopped killing people on purpose for a time.
Yes, and the Punisher was all about capturing people.
Mm-hmm.
We're somewhere between Modern and Iron, because I still have the restriction on killing. You can still kill. You can kill people, but you don't kill people on accident, unless you have a complication for it.
So
I always much prefer that.
Yeah.
And in the rules, so you've already told us that we are playing with the knockback rules, but like we don't do actively lethal damage until we say so.
It's in the core rules. I think you have to actually beat them down first, and then you have to make a finishing move or something like that, which can actually kill them. And you have to actually say that you are killing them. But otherwise, people don't die in this game much. Or if you do die, there's no guarantee that you'll stay dead.
Mm-hmm.
And no accidental deaths.
No accident.
Because of a die roll.
No.
Anyway, yes.
So you're pretty safe.
Yes, and the characters that have super regenerative powers get splattered all the time. But yes, they're fine. They're regenerative.
Yeah. And there's also there's still actually power in the book that allows you to, revive yourself again and again.
Yeah.
Immortality.
And the hero points that we will hopefully excessively use is also another fail-safe that I don't think any of our characters will die unless it's for the story.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I like the setting so far.
Oh, that's good. Good to hear.
What's the team right now? Because I know I'm playing a powerhouse, so basically the Thing with a better tailor.
Yeah.
What are the other people playing?
I'm playing a teleporting thief with some telekinetic powers.
I'm playing a mystical paragon.
Okay.
And
And
Dustin is
Jump Dash.
Dustin is playing a speedster.
Okay.
So
He's not here right now.
so we actually have 2 muscles and 2 people who can move around a lot.
which could be used to our advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Like letting Mr. Nobody fall out of several kilometers out of the air on a target.
Hey, I'm all for that. This will be my first time playing M&M. I've never played it before. It's also probably the first time in about 20 years I've been a player. I'm normally the GM.
Yeah.
So I apologize ahead of time, Oscar. I'm probably going to drive you crazy.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. I'm actually playing in Andreas' game on every other Friday.
Because I'm usually a game master too, and
Yeah, me too.
but I only have experience with the second edition of Mutants Masterminds, so I'm still reading a bit up on the third edition's rules, but there will be some questions like, why do they have agility and dexterity?
There's well, I was looking at this some time ago. Agility mostly just, or was it dexterity? I can't remember which one is the attack. Uses
The attack
uses range attack.
I believe that's dexterity.
yeah, that
Yeah.
should be dexterity according to the character.
Yeah, isn't one for attack and one
Yeah.
for defense?
Basically, dexterity mostly focuses on attack and actively moving yourself in one position,
Yeah.
whereas agility focuses on your ability to move around, such as dodging.
Yeah.
And I think that was just to keep it a nice even 8.
Yeah.
So they split it up.
Yeah, they also have added fighting as another ability.
So agility is practically the reaction ability.
Dexterity is. I noticed something interesting that.
Basically, they split range attack and melee attack into
Yeah.
dexterity and fighting,
Yeah.
and made agility dodge, and fighting's parry.
Mhm.
Rubber Daddy talking about that. Whoa.
Well, that startled me.
I'm awake.
Okay. Are there any questions regarding the setting or the game or whatever?
Yeah, on the defenses.
The defenses, yeah.
Yeah, the defenses is a rank in the defense, like in dodge, plus the ability modifier to roll, and if someone wants to hit me, there comes a plus 10 to it.
Yeah.
Okay, then I understood it correctly.
But your agility, I think, applies to range attacks, but fighting applies to close attacks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's...
Dodge and parry.
Yeah.
Dodge is based on agility rank. It includes reaction time, quickness, nimbleness, and overall coordination used to avoid ranged attacks or other hazards where reflexes and speed are important. Parry defense is based on fighting. It is the ability to counter, duck, or otherwise evade a foe's attempts to strike you in close combat through superior fighting ability.
Quick question. I've got the core rule book. Do I need to get anything else?
No, I only have the core rulebook myself, except maybe PDF. But I think we're only going to use the rules from the core rulebook.
Okay.
Except for knockback, right?
Except for knockback, which but I'm going to heavily modify that just to make it less so that if you hit stuff during knockback, like if you hit a wall or anything, it doesn't necessarily damage you any more than you already have been damaged.
I like knockback mostly for the flavor of it anyway.
Yeah, that's the idea. I prefer the flavor thing.
I assume knockback is something that my character will run into a lot.
Well, you mostly be causing it, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to get to the physics, you're not running into it. You run into something, then it reacts to... Never mind.
Gotcha.
So, what was it with immovable object and unstoppable force?
We'll definitely be testing that.
So we need a Hulk for Mr. Nobody.
You can also choose between using the digital, the dice roller on Roll20, or using your own dice, whichever you prefer.
I like rolling my own dice.
Yeah, I prefer that. Don't have many live groups after I moved, so I haven't been rolling them much.
Well, the computer guy in me, he wants to say that, you know, electronic dice rollers are not actually random, but it'll depend on what's I feel like.
Yeah. Okay.
So equipment.
Equipment, yeah.
So unless it's some kind of special equipment, we didn't need to buy them with power points, right?
What? Sorry?
Like something like an old phone or some thief tools, something like that.
Well, if you have tools or phone or anything, technically you should be using equipment points for it.
Okay.
If it's useful, so you don't need to represent your driver's license with a equipment point, but phone or smartphone or thieves' tools, yeah, equipment points.
Okay. Then I did everything correct with taking improvised tools as an advantage.
Okay, good.
I think it's almost 8 or 9 years ago that I last played Mutants Masterminds.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't play much Mutants Masterminds. I have actually a lot more games that I usually play.
Yeah.
I got a lot of second edition books, cheap ones, but I never got around to play it or run it.
I always tried to start a campaign, but it never worked out with the timing.
Yeah. Actually, I did run a game once in this setting, actually, that took place during the so-called event of New Camelot. They actually played out the story that caused the event and the Avalon Park forming.
So you know what happened.
I know what happened. Yeah. I'm still just wondering if I should use the villain from that story in this game, because it's been 80 years, and the idea I had for the villain doesn't really include him being immortal or ageless. So
You have some good villains.
Frozen in an iceberg. Always the answer.
Yeah.
And you have already some good villains on your homepage.
Yeah.
So just use one of them.
Yeah, probably. I'm gonna use some of them. Maybe not. Maybe
Professor Banana or Dr. Banana?
Banana?
Pineapple.
Evil Lord Pineapple. Yeah.
Evil Lord Pineapple. I want to meet Evil Lord Pineapple. Maybe not in the beginning, but someday I want to meet them in game.
Oh, definitely. He's my favorite villain from this setting. So you're definitely gonna beat him up.
Yeah. It's funny because right around the time you posted that, I was reading the One Punch manga. One Punch Man?
Yeah.
And they introduced a hero who's pineapple themed.
Perfect.
Yes, fun.
And yet dressed like a pineapple.
Yeah, of course.
I think the most obscure superhero I stumbled about was Maid Man. A guy dressing as a maid and cleaning away the corruption and evilness in the city.
Yeah, there's.
I love One Punch Man.
I haven't read any of it or watched the anime, but my brother watches it and thinks it's great. So maybe I'll watch it someday.
It is fantastic.
Okay.
Just understand it's mostly a deconstruction of the superhero genre.
Yeah.
And anime. But anyway.
Yep.
So is there going to be like an event that brings us all together?
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's going to be something. Either an event or someone.
Sounds good.
And there was a day the threat came that was greater than one single hero could handle.
Yeah.
I like that plan.
Okay.
I think it will be interesting because usually adventures start in a tavern or on the road, but on Mutants Masterminds, I mean, it could be complicated. So
well, I already did that with the other group that I mentioned. One of the players decided that his character had and ran a club or bar. So he was the barkeep.
Do we have any ideas to superhero subculture, meta-human subculture, like some bars, pubs where they meet or hang around together?
There's actually, I've been using the term parahuman for superhuman characters, but so I had this idea for a small neighborhood somewhere that's called Little Paracity. And
okay,
and
Chinatown.
Basically, and people who live there are sometimes called parasites.
Oh.
So,
bravo, sir.
So yeah, there's there's a neighborhood called Little Paracity that has this superhuman characters living quite openly, actually. So
probably mostly the freaks with the visible.
Mostly people.
Changes.
Yeah, people who don't think they can live anywhere else.
So my character would be around there sometimes.
Oh, definitely. There's also, sorry, Terry, you were saying?
Oh, well, sorry. My lateness getting in, this may have already been answered. As I understand it, whatever event created superheroes occurred in the 90s?
No, it occurred in the late 20s or early 30s.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, sorry. The event that created superhumans was 1890 or 1890s or 80s.
Okay. And when did the negativity towards superhumans start?
That started about a century later, around late 90s.
Okay, that works.
But people disagree on whether the event that created superhumans was the actual event that created superhumans, or because there are historical superhuman characters prior to that event.
So more likely it caused an explosion in the numbers.
More likely, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that still works. Because I don't know if you brought... I think I mentioned it to you. My character doesn't age normally.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and he gained his powers in the late 90s, like 97 or so.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, so that sounds cool. I can work with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I took wealth, and part of that was about endorsements.
Yeah. Okay. That's unlikely.
Yeah. So instead, that's okay. I have a backup inheritance.
Yeah. Yeah. That works.
So you're the money.
Yeah, not that much. think early Batman, not billionaire Batman.
You said that we should take the PowerPoint away for the group base. Are you designing it or will we design it?
Sorry?
If it's a spoiler, you don't need to answer it, but just curious.
What was the question? Use what?
Our base of operations.
Yeah. I wanted you to each buy have 5 equipment points for set aside for headquarters. I'm thinking about doing parts of it myself, the headquarters, but you can do the rest or add to what I've done.
So practically, you design the layout and we design the interior.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, any interesting things about characters' history? I heard somebody was a thief.
Yeah, that was my character. She is practically someone on the run who just use her power to take what she needs, but never more. So if she robs a bank, she take only a few hundred bucks, but never millions, so that she doesn't causes too much attention on her.
Right. And as a telekinetic, it's not like you're holding up the bank at gunpoint. You just kind of pop in and steal.
Just pop into the safe, take what I need, and pop out.
Okay, cool.
And you're not limited to actually seeing where you're going, so you can just think really hard about that bank's safe and just pop in there.
I think
do you have to know where it is, or
it's more a warp effect? So she actually moves through the molecules and sees where she's going, but this is so super fast that it actually is like teleporting.
Yeah. Okay.
I like it. Good flavor.
I thought about some gravity-related powers, and then I thought, the warp theory says moving space around you, so practically it's teleporting, and then one step after the other came in. The telekinesis is practically something with gravity too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like generating small gravity fields to move objects and persons if they don't succeed in their save.
Okay. Yeah, I realized the other day that your characters are very, very powerful. All of them. So we have, for example, Andreas, who can teleport, or Fate, who can teleport to any place on Earth, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. I think I need at maximum 3 extended teleports, so practically 18 seconds to get anywhere on Earth.
Yeah, and the speedster, who's Tempo, I think his name, he can run around the world in just a few minutes. So, and that, you're fairly powerful, fairly well powerful, especially since you can, pretty much just teleport into, for example, the headquarters of 7 or whatever, and say hi, pop out again, and nobody can actually do anything about it.
Yeah,
but that's going to be very interesting.
And he was trained to do things like that. Pop in anywhere, get some stuff out and pop out again.
Yeah.
And I think your character Terry will be practically, I don't know if it's more look like Superman or Hyperion from the Squadron Supreme, so but practically something in that direction, is it?
Well, that's what a Paragon is. It's Superman-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only the question: will it be like from the character, blah blah blah, characteristics like Superman, or more like the Dark Marvel equivalent, the Hyperion?
Well, he's definitely not altruistic like Superman, but he's not quite. I wouldn't call him Hyperion. On short story, he was a teenager that got a wish fulfillment and became Superman-like. And in the last 20 years, he's aged maybe 3, so he's like 19, looking now, and pretty cynical because he's actually in his 40s.
That's good.
Right near 40.
I don't know if you can, but my character is practically based on the background on Weapon X, like military experiment, training, and then fled when the sounds were there.
That's cool. Makes sense how a really talented teleporter would come in handy militarily.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Nobody is our powerhouse, our Hulk.
Yeah.
You described it more like the Thing,
but with a better tailor.
Yes, I recall that.
Yeah.
Now, this is what happens when you let Mr. Fantastic design your clothes.
Yeah, I really like him more in the outfits from the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
They are nice.
Yeah.
So, given the setting, is it more mystical themed? Or is there an even mix of origin types?
Yeah, you missed that part. New Camelot City is heavily inspired by the legends of Arthur and such. So,
so we have at least one character in there, that NPC that's going to be the Green Knight.
Maybe. Yeah, there's going to be some connection to either directly or indirectly to the Arthurian legends. For example, there is a sword in a stone in one of the parks.
I like how you emphasize the A.
Well, some people believe it is the sword in the stone, but
wasn't in Arthurian legends there like 3 different swords Arthur had?
Something like that.
So
not that Arthur had. There was
there were
sword
at least
from
2.
the Lady of the Lake.
Yeah.
Then there was that actually Merlin gave to Arthur, and then they had to bring it back. And then I think there was a magical sword Lancelot had. It's like a sister sword, and then, if I remember correctly, Morgan Le Fay gave to the son of Arthur an equal sword so that he could kill him.
Yeah, but there's also the sword in the stone and the sword from Lady of the Lake is not the same sword.
Oh, okay. I forgot that.
Yeah. So, yeah. But
right, cool.
like with all comics, we're not actually staying that true to the legends.
Yes, Thor will have blonde hair in this one.
Maybe. Well, nobody actually knows if he had red hair either. But there are comics, Scandinavian comics, I think, with where he has red hair. So ginger.
Well, at least we can all agree he probably had a beard originally.
Well, maybe. Well, no, most definitely, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the Ultimate Comics where they gave him the beard. The Ultimate Universe.
Well, yeah, the first one I saw him with beard was in the Ultimate Comics. From Marvel, at least, but
that changes with Thor, especially on Jason Aaron, who's currently writing it, when he shows the original Thor, the Odin son, in different time zones. So sometimes he got a beard, sometimes he doesn't.
That's some American Gods type stuff right there.
That's a great novel.
Fantastic.
I still have to finish that. I'm not much of a reader, so I've read about half of the book. I think I can't remember. It's been so long.
The last 2 times I listened to the audiobook. Great way to fill in hours.
Another great read, especially for superhero themes, the Wildcats series, edited by George Martin. That's practically a book series with tons of short stories in a shared world.
Yep, my wife read those and just recommended them to me. So, I take it the sword and the stone in the park. People have tried, and people try and pull it. Is it like a
people have
thing people go and do?
People have tried to pull it and failed. And
having barbecues and beers around it.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah,
like they have a sword pulling day like once a year or something.
That's a great idea.
That's actually a very good idea. I'm gonna keep that.
TM. All right. Sword pulling day.
Sword pulling day. More commonly known as Excalibur Day or something, but no, a lot of people actually just call it Sword Pulling Day.
Probably as a joke too.
Yeah,
it started out as an impromptu Rin fair that turned into a thing.
Yeah. Everyone wants to be a king.
Isn't Camelot at the coast, by the way?
I imagined it is at the east coast somewhere. Probably somewhere around what is called
New England?
Middle North, somewhere. I have no idea. New England. I don't know. I have geography is my geography is terrible.
All right. Would you say probably north of New York, like maybe Boston area?
I have no
Maine
idea.
or
I can't remember how north New York is.
Maine sounds good.
I'm googling a map.
If you were looking for climate similarities to say London, I would say anywhere north of New York would probably be pretty accurate.
Okay, good to know. Okay, there's New York. Yeah. Somewhere between New York and Boston is, I think, is probably where it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere between New York and Boston.
So I was just thinking.
Yeah.
One thing that happens a lot is New Yorkers will go south for the fall to go see in like New Jersey areas and see the leaves change color, leafers. So New Camelot has sword pullers. Because everyone locally has already done it and they're over it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But they get an influx every year of tourists.
I mean, it's been there for 80 years. So, yeah.
It's probably a big local money grab, too. They charge $10 a try.
Yeah. Oh, we had something like this in Iceland, actually, where just people were scamming tourists and taking money for Northern Lights sightseeing or something like that. Basically just took the money and took them someplace and had them look up, and well, it either comes or it doesn't, so
yeah.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, there are definitely people who are taking money to let other people try to pull the sword out of the stone and in a public park.
Well, they probably have something around it just to keep the crowds from always piling on it.
Yeah, there's definitely probably something.
Yeah, probably local city run or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So, given that superhumans, parahumans, are not trusted, who does handle dealing with supervillains regularly? It sounds like there are probably a few vigilantes or maybe registered parahumans.
There are registered registered superhumans who are hired by the city to deal with superhuman.
I think Seven has really good contracts too in that regard.
Yeah. There's the mercenary group Vigil and International Intelligence, or better known as Seven, or VII, Roman numbers. They are hired by usually governments to take care of superhuman activities around the world. Some countries try to avoid having to hire outside contractors for this, so they have their own projects or experimental projects even. But yeah, if there's a supervillain somewhere, the city might have a registered superhuman to deal with it, or try to deal with it.
I'm thinking at the moment about character maybe some who have some velocity movement power, so when he starts to move he gets really strong like the Juggernaut, just sitting all day in his apartment eating chips, watching sports and waiting for something to happen.
Was it? I don't remember what it was, but there was an anime, and there was a character who had superhuman strength, but only while sober, and he was an alcoholic.
Oh.
I can't remember that.
I don't remember what it was either. It was he would call it a curse though.
Oh yeah.
And on your homepage you posted something about practically the school of gifted young gifted, like the X-Men.
Yeah, it's not actually a school, but yeah.
Yeah, but how public is this?
It's not publicly known, and it's probably not very big. Less than a dozen children living there.
Okay.
So it's not big yet.
No, not big yet, but
yeah, the GM instincts kick in already.
It's the idea is that there's this home for what did I call it? Exceptional children, I think. Yeah, where children who can't live with other families are have an opportunity to live. It is mostly just it's the idea was that kids that other superheroes save from some place or something, they can take them to that place and ask that they stay there, instead of some people having 13 or more Robins running around.
But these are all para-human kids?
Not all of them. Some of them are just exceptionally skilled at, and dangerously skilled with weapons.
Oh, so like a henchman training facility that takes them in young, brainwashes them, and teaches them the trade.
Well, no, but if we had some organization like that and you'd save one of those children, you could take them to this place.
Oh, that's what I was meaning. Like,
yeah.
There was and then they bring them there after they rescue them.
Yeah, or sample.
Okay. Sounds like a perfect organization for someone to infiltrate and then undo all that good.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. And you mentioned like there's a Sorcerer Supreme, a Merlin, was it?
Yeah, the idea for Merlin in the setting is that Merlin is not a name for a person; it's a title.
The Merlin.
How very Dresden Files of you.
I haven't actually read Dresden Files.
The leader of the Wizard Council is called the Merlin.
Oh, okay. Okay. Great.
I'm sure it's been done other places too.
Great minds and stuff.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the Merlin is a person who just is the probably the most powerful wizard or sorcerer in the world currently. And well, at this moment, it's not well known who that is or if there is such a person. Magic is usually met with disbelief, so which
or
is
just
weird.
Called a parahuman activity.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of weird that people will believe a person teleporting between places but won't believe in magic.
Because it's science versus something that can't be explained. And that's why I think in my view of this, right, that's why the theory with the Sigma particles and waves are still around.
Yeah. Okay, so in this city there are a few people that you may recognize or know of. For example, the mayor, who is Lance Dulac. And if you read some, I think I remember this correctly, that Lancelot's name was Lancelot Dulac. So that's playing with that name. Then there's Stern Media.
Everyone knows Lancelot wasn't trustworthy.
Yeah, I was thinking that too at the moment. That Lancelot was not really the good guy in the story.
Yeah, Stern Media is a television station, or media station. So it's run by a guy called Sebastian Stern. But Sebastian Stern is probably the richest guy in the city. So these are the two people that everyone has heard about.
But he is not a mixture of J. Jonah Jameson and Lex Luthor, is he?
I'm not saying anything.
Perfect.
Yeah, that pretty much covers everything that I was thinking about talking about. So
I mean, a rich guy controlling the media, of course, yes. Oh, it's just very good one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just remember, not every NPC is a bad guy automatically. We just assume they are.
Yeah, that's part of being part of the fun of being at the end. Which it's having the players believe they're dealing with a villain, or when they're not, or vice versa.
Yep. Yeah. Also, if you always have your NPCs turn out to be villains, inevitably your players are just going to be cynics.
Well, yeah. There's one thing that you have to know about games that I run is that every NPC has a secret. So you are naturally you are going to eventually meet up with a person who doesn't want to talk about something, and that's not necessarily because they're bad people. They just don't want to talk about certain stuff.
Yep, makes perfect sense.
And what Tay just said is so often. My favorite example is with Shadowrun. There's the Mr. Johnson, the guy who hires the mercenary, always tries to betray them. There wouldn't be any runner left to work for the corporations. Like, there are some evil NPCs or some people who want to screw the players over, but this world is not filled with it. And I will just let me surprise who will be the nice guys and who will be not nice guys.
It's funny you should mention Shadowrun. My character, whose name is Anthony P. Coleman, is a character I recycle through different games, but I only play the one character in each game, and he started off in Shadowrun.
I have an NPC I recycle for practically any campaign cross system. That's Cord, a big barbarian who is a cook and runs in or something like that for Heroes, Adventurers, Mercenaries.
I've played him. I've played this character in 3 different games: Shadowrun, Eclipse Phase, and D&D. And I always change him slightly to fit the setting. But usually he has either a overly enthusiastic but cynical attitude, or some kind of dark past that gives him problems. In Shadowrun, he was an ex-mercenary whose wife divorced him and then married her divorce lawyer and took the kids. And he's always just one job away from having enough to afford a better place so he can get visitation.
That's always the one last job, isn't it?
Yes. This is my last job. Once this is in, I'll be able to afford that apartment uptown, and I can see my kids again.
The one last job, and I have enough money to get out, to stop killing people.
Yes, and usually I give him some sort of idiosyncrasy. Like in Shadowrun, he'd often talk in text speak. So he would go, "OMG," or "All right, I'll be there, TTYL." In Eclipse Phase, he was an enthusiastic pilot on Mars, and he would constantly changing accents between Australian, New Zealand, and British accents. And if anyone ever asked, "Your accent seems to be changing," I would say, "What are you talking about? This is a Martian accent."
That's good.
In this one, he's a 40-year-old trapped in the body of a teenager. Has 2 ex-wives, and the only people he can. He's a 40-year-old
in a 19-year-old body.
Yeah.
So who's gonna believe?
Trust me, dating gets awkward after a point.
Yes,
yeah. He's not a cougar chaser, but what can he do? And the only people he really cares about is his sister and his 2 nieces, who, within about 5 or 6 years, will technically be older than him. He has a fake ID to make himself that's actually younger than he is, so that he can go out and buy liquor when he gets it carded. No one believes he's a 40-year-old. Oh, he's a multi-millionaire that lives alone, and walks to the local convenience store to buy food for dinner.
I mean, your character has an ID card. My character has a backpack with some clothes in it, and that was it.
Yes, but if you want liquor, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, that's true again.
They don't card teleporters. Well, they can try. In my head, part of his backstory is he once hung out with a wizard to better understand his condition. And the wizard said, "Ed, you have the potential to be one of the most powerful sorcerers the world's ever seen." And to which he replied, "That sounds like a lot of work."
Okay. Yeah.
So most of his abilities are either ones that he got when he gained his powers, or little tricks that he picked up over time, like a very lazy college student.
I see a lot of potential for character development there.
Like, you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
Like something big happens, and then so he just needs to start to learn, to start to train.
There's also there's also lots of stuff that I can use in that. For example, the sorcerer.
Yeah, basically a lot of his abilities are shortcuts based on so his origin, more or less, is that he was kidnapped and was going to be sacrificed as part of a ritual to empower a cult leader. During the sacrifice, as the ritual was going on, as the dagger was literally falling, he got a hand free, grabbed a rock, and struck the cult leader in the head, killing him. thus completing the ritual but giving him the power. Now, what probably would have made the cult leader an incredibly powerful wizard instead had his 16 at the time year old mind, and wish fulfillment became, I want to be a superhero. Thus, he gained Superman-like powers.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. They fit a sort of theme because in my head, the ritual involved entities of air and earth. So a lot of his powers are based thusly. Superhuman toughness, strength, the ability to fly. He can do lightning.
No lasers from the eyes.
No laser eyes. Guys, we'll work on that later. And a few other minor tricks. Different tricks that he can pull off. For example, he's not actually nearly as strong as, say, our powerhouse, but he gets close to that when he focuses his power to make him that way.
Did you use power array with alternate powers, or just did you board each power on its own?
Oh, and I did do a power array with one power. And that one, he has to choose between different options to get the effects, of course. So that's where I take his little bit of training comes from. What started off as basically being able to be nearly invulnerable and extremely strong, shifted around to being able to throw lightning, imprison people within stone, and something else that I can't remember offhand, and I'm not at my computer screen.
Do you remember, both of you, do you remember what complications or any specific complication you want to talk about?
I think the system of the complication is if we met them, then
you get a hero point.
We get a hero point, right?
Yeah. But there's I think at least one complication that is constant unless something drastic changes, like a motivation or something like that. Not necessarily motivation, but something that doesn't easily go away.
And so it's like the heart of gold for my character, the willingness to help. The heart of gold, the willingness to help people.
Yeah, for example. And then you have maybe one complication that's just temporary, something that you can change between sessions, but something that you introduce that you want to include.
Because then we should talk about the complications, because I have 4 that all are fitting to the background, and
yeah,
like
you should try to stick to just 1 or maybe 2 at most for that's constant.
At the moment, it's fugitive military.
Yeah.
Because of the known criminal that could fall out.
Yeah, but you can also just say that your heart of gold is the constant, something that doesn't change. But for example, this story or this session, you want me to include something that has to go with being a fugitive from the military. So maybe the military gets a whiff of where you are, or
just like practically the heart of gold is a permanent, and for our first session, because she will get first in public is the non-criminal, because even in safe there are surveillance cameras, so she should be recognizable in the law.
Yeah, you don't have to decide.
Not with a high priority.
Yeah, you don't have to decide right now, but something to keep in mind.
I understand the concept now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry?
I mean, my complications are prejudice because I look so young.
Okay.
Enemy, the remnants of that cult, and my 2 nieces and sister.
Yeah. Okay.
I suppose some of those are temporary in that they won't always come up. Like, I assume not every session my nieces and sister will be being held hostage.
No.
Your sister's endangered. Must be Tuesday again.
What's that? Hostage situation? Which one? Oh, all three. Oh, bingo.
That's new.
Oh, what's that? They happen to be going on vacation on the airliner that was hijacked? Go figure.
There was an evil cult who needs some virgin sacrifices? Go ahead.
So you're saying it was only my nieces?
Yeah, they only needed 3 or 2. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, if we look at, for example, Superman with the complications thing, kryptonite is one of his complications. Lois Lane would be another. For example.
A big complication.
Yeah, Lois Lane is always in danger. I have no idea how that person functions in normal society. And if you watch
Professional victim.
Is that a master's?
Do you need a master's
do you need
degree?
a master point or a bachelor?
You can get your doctorate in it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Dr. Victim. All right, everyone, this is a standard hostage situation. Everyone assume the correct positions. You're crying about over what's happening. You're considering trying to escape, but think better of it because you're deep down a coward. All right, that's good. Orderly business.
I have no idea, but they actually might have that in a superhero universe at the university.
All right. Well, I assume if you live in DC or Marvel, they should have at least something you can go to, like a first aid course. How to properly be a hostage.
Yeah. What to do in a hostage situation, or if a supervillain captures you, what to do.
Be sure to keep them talking. The longer they're talking, the less time they're killing you.
I mean, the Marvel universe is already thus far that they have a company that specializes in cleaning up after superhero fights.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was called Baldur Inc. or something like that.
I can't remember.
Yes, it was created for Civil War, the first one, because they gave Nitro some super empowering drugs so that he can blow up the school or something else, like, so that they get bigger contracts.
Question.
Okay.
In your setting, how do you handle super tech?
It exists.
Is that
But
is it I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you first.
I was going to say, is it somehow limited or regulated? Like say Iron Man and suit requires a very probably rare and expensive material to power it.
Yeah, it has Super Tech in Zygma World mostly uses something called irradiant crystals. Nobody really understands how they work, but they have the ability to store energy, and from outside perspective, this energy is actually Sigma waves. So using these crystals, people can use super tech to do stuff, but it's either limited in that you can only use it for a limited time, or it's difficult to reproduce, or it has some other quirks.
Have you ever heard of the game Aberrant?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I
always like
from White Wolf, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they're should be coming out with a second edition Kickstarter here in the next year.
Yeah, I'm very very excited about the second edition Scion, which is using the same system, I think.
It is, and I'm a backer.
Yeah, me too.
But anyway, in Aberrant, I always liked their explanation that, for the super tech to work, or some of it only works when the person who made it's there, or it breaks down very quickly if it's not regularly maintained by another super intelligent Nova.
Yeah.
But I always liked that restriction, since comics never explain why Mr. Fantastic hasn't solved all the world's problems.
Yeah.
Because
sure,
you can't focus.
Oh, sure, you made a Thor clone, but you can't cure cancer. Good to know.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about super tech much, except that it uses these crystals, but probably not all of them uses it. So
Yeah, in the beginning, I think if you have an idea with an adventure with super tech, because no one of us is playing someone who uses super tech, that you can come up with that. But I think you don't need that in advance.
Yeah.
It's enough to know that people like Seven have maybe battle armors or something like an helicarrier.
Go not.
Now I'm mentioning Seven.
Yeah.
I was a little confused on that. Is it like an official organization, underground organization?
It's official,
Okay.
but it stays. But it's independent of any government.
Okay. So, like multinational or UN?
Multinational.
Okay.
It stays completely out of politics, except when trying to get through regulations through, so that they can operate without any hindrance in that country. But it hires out to any country that will hire them.
Sounds great.
So it's practically just a big international mercenary group.
Yeah.
So far, I like everything I've heard.
Me too.
Great.
And we can look forward for you to run Scion 2nd edition when it comes out, right?
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely going to run that.
I played first edition only once, and I really, really much liked it.
Oh, I had a campaign running for 2 or 3 years. We played maybe once or twice every month, and except we actually took a year break once. So, but it was very fun. The system was terrible. It had it was so confusing. It had mechanic here, mechanic in another book, and references to it was terrible. But it was so much fun to run, and the players were always ready to get back to it.
We were all playing Science of Norse Deities, and I was playing, and we had to stop a plan from Loki to practically turn a football stadium into berserkers, because he was bored with poisoned meat and beer, and in the end my sign ended up purifying every alcoholic beverage in the stadium and its vicinity to stop that.
Yeah. My game centered around my campaign centered around the Greek demigod Pan, pretty much trying to get revenge on the Greek pantheon, and it had a lot of plots and stuff.
Sounds fun. I ran 2 games that were very short.
Yeah.
Saying sounds fun. I ran 2 games, but they were kind of short-lived. Flaky players.
What do you think it's best with Cyan? To focus on only one pantheon, or to have everyone in a campaign?
If you have everyone, you need a reason for everyone to stay together. I had one rule that every Scion had to be from a different pantheon, so no 2 from the same pantheon. It was something about the pantheons joining together to try to unite the pantheons by having their Scions join forces to. Essentially, it was
sort of a political marriage alliance.
Sort of, kind of. It sort of worked until we had additional players join in, and for some reason, other pantheons wanted to join in the fun and have their Scions join the group. And then one pantheon stabbed another, and they kind of ruined London.
My games just worked out that everyone chose a different pantheon anyway.
It was more an accident. My wife and I were flipping through the book, and okay. She took Odin, I took Freyr, and practically the third player came with Balder.
Sounds like a good combination.
And we had no idea that we would go up against some disciples of Loki. So that was a fun coincidence in the end.
Good stuff. Well, even though the system was very broken, not that well put together, and you had to have so many books to make it work. Eric, I love the meta plot, the setting.
Yeah, I didn't really like the meta plot, but I really like everything else about it.
I just like the idea of some people learning that they have a divine bloodline and then slowly evolving into new gods. From hero, demigod, and then in the end God.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the powers I liked too. The purviews, not so much the attribute powers, because a lot of those just were extremely broken or underpowered versus overpowered and what have you.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah. But the actual purview powers I thought were really nice. They were fun, and you didn't have to buy them in order. And the god level stuff was, as conceptually used, was great.
And they were really good usable in many creative ways, like the whole fertility things Freya got, for example.
Yes, I love the Ragnarok book just for how it handled Ragnarok in the story.
That was really good.
I actually no, I didn't look at it.
It was really fun.
It was a creative way of doing Ragnarok, I think.
Yeah. In a modern setting, so
yeah. I had a house rule in my game that, if somebody had purview powers, they could choose to do effects within that purview that they didn't have a specific power for, or if they had and I judge it based on, well, how many purview powers do you have in that? What's the effect you're going for?
Yeah, that's a good idea. I had I had several house rules. I can't remember all of them. It's been a while since we stopped running the campaign. One of them had something. Most of them had something to do with character creation, though.
Mm.
So, for example, you could choose. I think. Oh wow, it's been a while. You could choose a certain number of purviews from your parent that you had favored, and then certain numbers that didn't necessarily belong to your parent that were also favored. I think there were 3 and 3, so you could go out, have favorite purviews outside your parent, but also you could not have all the purviews your parent had favored.
I like that.
To balance it out a little bit. Mostly because I think Odin had, I can't remember, up close to 10, I think, favorite purviews, while another god maybe had 4.
Yeah, like particularly the disparaging favorites for the heads of the pantheons. Odin had, like you said, 10, and Zeus I think had 6, maybe 7.
Yeah. So yeah, this way you could choose, and I think actually I allowed them to add favorite favorite powers as they grew in power. So you had one additional favorite power when you became demigod, and then one additional when you became a god.
Oh, that's good. I like that. It always made more sense to me than all the favorite purviews being based on your parent, whatever they had the maximum amount of, the god level stuff.
Yeah.
10th dot, I guess.
Yeah. Then we had there was some god who had a favorite purview as animal, for example, swans or something, and then another god had animal any.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not very balanced.
Yeah. Although I do like sometimes in games where things are obviously not balanced, it's just if you're gonna, it makes it more difficult to run the game.
Yeah.
I think most RPG games have some balancing problems. For example, D&D with some class combinations that can be really rule breaking, or different powers the races get. So it's then the stuff how you handle it in your game, like with home rules, or focus on the story and said, okay, he is no more powerful than the others, but in the end it's about the story and how they play together, not who's the best and who's the worst character in the team.
Yeah,
exactly. One thing I do like about Mutants and Masterminds is it's surprisingly well balanced. I mean, there are definitely broken powers that are more useful than others, but you know, you make the character you want, so at least when it comes to attack versus damage and defense, etc., it keeps that in mind.
They changed a lot in the Powers 2 and the 3rd edition. Like, they made it more open and more better to individualize what you want to play.
Yeah.
It's been forever since I've looked at the 2nd edition, so I don't really recall much of the differences.
It's like something like it's only flavor thing, but no, it's the power is called move object and not telekinesis, and it's practically you want to play an energy controller with wind control, you can get the move object 2 without having 2 or 3 different powers in this, like in the 2nd edition.
I see.
It's more about what the powers do and not what the powers are in this third edition.
Yeah.
Which I like better.
I think they had the source book for Mutants Masterminds second edition called
The Powers Handbook or
Ultimate Power.
Ultimate Power, yeah.
Ultimate Power. It basically broke down every power in second edition into core components, which is basically what they are doing in third edition, I think.
Mm-hmm. But there were some powers in the Ultimate Power I thought really weird, like the Matter Eater.
Well, it's based off of an actual DC character.
Yeah.
It is? I only know Marvel well.
Well, someone who's a fan of DC probably wouldn't know Matter Eater Lad offhand. He's one of those Silver Age characters, part of the Legion of Superheroes.
I think I remember reading a little bit about some obscure heroes or villains or something like that. I think I remember reading about him on that list.
Yeah, he makes it into a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, his power was what? He could eat anything.
Yes.
And that was pretty much it, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think that was just the Legion of Superheroes for you. They had every weird oddball little power, like a bouncing boy who could blow up like a ball and bounce around.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun.
Let's see, there was one, I don't remember her name, but she could she could create 2 duplicates of herself.
Okay.
And that was what she did.
Useful.
Yeah, it is. But
think of Multiple Man.
Well, she was limited to 2. It was there were 3 of her total. Period.
I remember in once that I tried to start a Mutants Masterminds play by post, there was a player who created basically a super strong character who could duplicate himself.
Fantastic.
Yeah, there was by himself he was fairly well balanced, except that he could make 100 duplicates of himself. And each of them
are equally as strong.
They were each equally strong and heroic and essentially.
I was thinking about a Gestalt character, but I wasn't sure how to play it. Like twins, which each separate powers, but who could join together into one more powerful being. But then again, I think that's for concept for 2 players, not 1 player.
There's
works for Firestarter.
Yeah. There's a villain idea in one of the Mutants Masterminds books. That's they're twins who have kind of sensory warping powers, I think, but they only work if they touch each other or in contact with each
idea
other.
From Marvel with North Star and Aurora from Alpha Flight, Canadian superhero team, who both can fly and move very quickly, and if they join hands together, they can shoot light beams.
Great.
Yeah, it's laser, practically.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Great.
Twin heroes are always a mixed bag.
No, of course.
Twin villains are almost always fantastic, though.
Oh yeah.
They can be weird too. Creepy.
Yeah. There's a reason twins are creepy is a trope.
Yeah.
But twin heroes. I mean, you've got the earliest ones I were exposed to were, of course, the Wonder Twins. This is not a good example.
Who were the Wonder Twins exactly? I can't remember ITM.
Well, I'm not sure if they originated in the comic book, but they were DC characters, and I was first exposed to them in the very old Super Friends TV animated show, which I think originally came out in the 70s. Obviously, I didn't see it in the 70s. I'm not that old.
And I just looked it up. There's actually a trope Creepy Twins on the TV tropes page.
Yep.
There's everything on TV trope.
Everything is. But that's a good trope. But the Wonder Twins, as I understand it, were made for the old 70s Saturday morning Super Friends and animated show, which was basically Justice League, but a lot more kid-friendlier, I guess?
I think so.
Yeah, anyway, they were the token young characters, so that they're more relatable to the kids. And their powers were sort of shape-shifting, but when they touched, one could turn into different water things, and the other could turn into animals.
But only with touching.
Yeah, they had to touch first.
Different water things? Just, what, fish?
No, just water. Like, he could turn it. Usually it ended up being ice, since being liquid was rarely that useful.
Yeah.
So he could turn into an ice bridge, or what have you. Or he would turn into a water, and his sister would turn into an eagle, so that they could carry him as she flies. They'd go in a bucket, carry him. There's some fantastic parody versions Cartoon Network did of them back in the early aughts and late 90s of the Wonder Twins trying to do things and just making it way worse.
I think my first twins in a cartoon were in Thundercats.
Yeah, I remember that.
Minikit and Minicut.
Oh God, I tried to watch Thundercats again. Some time ago.
Not old.
Maybe some years ago, but still, it was terrible. It was just the first episode, and Mamura was basically just and
but as a kid, it was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Oh, yeah, no, it's great. I had a Mamura action figure, a Lion-O action figure, everything. It was great.
I think we had.
I had the He-Man action figures.
Yeah,
I had that one too. I also had a full-size Voltron, like with the separate lions that combined.
Full size, or
like
actual size? Or?
That is, well, sorry, scale sized. But to a kid, it may have well been full size. It was about a foot tall once you put it together. But it was fantastic. It even had the sword and the throwing star, which were very sharp, and I believe I stabbed myself a few times with it.
The funniest thing with childhood cartoons was the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, which as a child you didn't realize, because in Germany it's what's called Lord of the Keys. And suddenly last year I looked, wait, you know that series, it's Dungeons and Dragons. And the thing I did was binge watch it on YouTube.
Nice.
We never had that in Iceland.
It aged well too.
We never had that in Iceland.
Yes. Well, that's a pity. It was a decent show, but it was that time period where people were super careful with in restrictions for kid shows, or well, just anything animated, since everything animated was obviously for kids.
Yeah, obviously.
The craziest thing about the 80s were the action movies like RoboCop, who
Die Hard.
Definitely made for an adult audience, but then sparked an entire toy line for kids and eventually kids' cartoon shows.
Yes, a rated R movie managed to become a kids' animated show and a toy line.
Yeah.
I remember the toys. I had an action figure.
Yeah.
I think you could exchange the breastplate and the helmet to damaged breastplate and damaged helmet.
You're right. I remember those. Yeah.
I think the same happened to Conan the Barbarian, but I'm not sure.
There was a Conan the Barbarian animated series. Yes,
okay.
It was very well done up by TV networks. Oh, what's that? No, we can't have him stab anyone. We'll just give him give him a sword made of magical material that sends the snake people back to their home dimension.
Oh yeah, makes sense.
And we need a sassy sidekick, so his shield has a phoenix that lives in it.
That was also an 80s thing, the Phoenix, because Pirates of the Blackwater had it too, the never stop talking Phoenix.
It was a monkey bird, Pirates of the Dark Water.
It's ages ago.
I haven't seen that in 20 years, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
and I never watched much of it. I had just because we never had Cartoon Network or anything, whatever station was on.
Yeah. I attributed Pirates of the Dark Water with creating the combination animal trope for Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, that's
possible.
Monkey bird?
I always thought they were just going easy.
But anyway, it's good old nostalgia.
Yes.
Oh, and if I recall, you're also a fan of Exalted.
Yeah. Big fan. I'm running 3rd edition right now. Not right now, but yeah, currently running 3rd edition with a group.
Yeah. And when Exalted came out, I still own every book of 1st and 2nd edition.
I have the core book for 2nd edition and the Lunars, but that's it.
Yeah. Fair. Well, anyway, guys, I need to go.
Okay.
Family out to go see Batman the Lego Movie.
Oh, great.
Have fun.
Have fun. Tell us what you think about it later. Don't spoil anything.
All I'll say is I already find it better than Batman vs. Superman.
Everything is better than Batman vs. Superman.
Well, not if you've watched any Uwe Boll film. It's a director. He's really bad. Okay, he's gone.
Okay. So...
Yeah, okay.
That wraps it up.
Pretty much. I think I've gone through everything. Well, you did say at some point you were thinking about having the ability to travel between dimensions and in space and...
Yeah, that was an alternate power I had in the beginning, but then you were right, I could buy that with a hero point if the story needs it. Yeah,
I was also thinking that if we go into trans-dimensional adventuring or extraterrestrial adventuring or time travel, anything like that, it kind of the ability to just, well, if you go there by mistake or something to another dimension, your ability to just say, okay, we'll just go back. It kind of ruins the whole story of how to get back. So it's going to be heavily regulated if you have it.
It was even just an idea. I mean, characters like Manifold, who have that power to doing it all the time too. Like it was till they stripped him away because the universe was dying. So he was more harder for him to use his powers. So it's practically best if something like that would be with a hero point. Yeah,
and it's just brought up the idea that I don't usually think about characters having the ability to just jump dimensions or jump into space or whatever.
I think that's the challenge and Game Master in Mutants and Masterminds, especially if you have experienced players who have some evil ideas how to utilize their powers. Like, okay, I can now travel through time, so I know exactly what the villain's plan is, I know exactly what will happen, so I go back and do it.
Yeah. But yeah, it just brought up a question that I needed to answer. That how I should handle dimensional or time travel or whatever. So yeah, that's good.
I think some way you could handle it is just with the time paradox. The mere presence of someone in another timeline creates a new dimension, an alternate world, which gets harder to get back to your own world, because you already created a new one in a new timeline where you are jumping back and forth.
Yeah. Maybe I would have, if you would use a hero point, maybe I might ask, I have to think about it, but I might have to ask you to make a check or something to see if you get to the right place.
Or the right time.
Yeah, right time or right place or whatever.
And something different is with space travel. If you only want to include alien invasions or something like that anytime, then that is more easily to handle.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Because alien invasions are a typical trope for superheroes too, in my experience.
Yeah, I've noticed. Everything has an alien in it.
And it must be green. Or bug-like.
If although I am a fan of green color, I'm not that. I think I try to break the mold rather than stick to it.
It's just another trope that aliens either have to be green,
or gray.
Yeah, the green Martians or the blue Venusians.
Or gray.
Yeah, the grays.
Grays. Oh yeah. Aliens and stuff.
But I think it was best that we, I mean, it's your game, but I think it's best for us players to first stick around in one city, get it to know, get your world to know before we start exploring other worlds.
Yeah, that's the idea. At least to begin with.
That I like really the world, but I think it's, especially the first few sessions will be really hard because of all the predators parahumans have to face. It's the thing that we'll have to face off, like police forces and maybe the mayor or something in the mayor's office immediately calling for the help of Seven.
Yeah, just connecting the mayor to Lancelot is definitely going to make you mistrust him.
If the character we are playing knows the legend.
Yeah.
I don't think that Fate knows much about the Assyrian legend.
Okay, I'm not saying that Lance the Luck is Lancelot.
No. And you don't have to tell me anything about it. I want to be surprised.
Okay. Yeah, we're almost up to 2 hours. And I think I've covered everything right now. Pretty much. So, yeah.
One question.
Okay.
If I add up anything, I have a dodge defense from 23. Is that above this limit of 10, or if I still have it? In second edition, there was the limit with on giving by power limit how high some abilities can be. I don't know if that's
the limit is usually twice your power level divided between some two traits. So you can't have attack and damage higher, equally high together, higher than 20. Or,
okay, no, that
or
isn't.
attack or defense, I think, can't also be higher than 20.
Yeah, in this case, I think it would be dodge and toughness, because if my character gets it, she's out.
What's your toughness?
1. And the dodge is 13.
Okay. Trying to find the power level limit. I think that's in this chapter.
Point.
No, not in this chapter. I can't remember, but it's there's some.
I have found it.
Okay.
It's a skill modifier. Cannot exceed power level plus 10. And then attack and effect. Touch and toughness, parry and toughness, and fortitude and will. It's on page 25.
Right. Trade-offs and stuff.
So yeah, I've done everything right, I think.
Okay. We'll assume that you have for now. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, then we check that too, and thank you for making this world of stars and giving a chance to play in it.
Okay, thank you for playing in it.
Of course, because it's superheroes. I'm reading Marvel comics since I'm 13 and collecting them, so that's a big opportunity for me.
Yeah, I love superheroes, but I actually haven't been reading many comics, as much as I want to anyway. Just never saw. I've been really careful with what I spend money on, except for role-playing games.
Yeah, for me it's comics and the rest, like role-playing games or board games.
Yeah.
Always thinking twice.
Yeah. Okay. Then we'll just see each other again
on Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
Next
Saturday. That's when we're planning to start.
Okay, then.
So, about 7 o'clock my time.
Yeah, that's 8 my time then.
Your 8 your time, I think. What Roger said something around 1 or 2 p.m. 1 p.m. I think. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think Terry is 5 hours and the 2 others are 6 hours.
Was it 6 hours? I thought 6 hours behind me. I think. I think there's up to 7 hour difference between us.
But
7 or 8, I can't remember.
That's still doable because it's practically we both are not far away, but the rest goes in the same direction. Think of our D&D game with the USA and New Zealand about the same game.
Oh yeah.
Like it has such a horrible timing.
Well, when we are going to sleep, someone just woke up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, then have a good one.
Yeah, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.